everybody. I'm Kathryn Rose, founder and CEO of channelWise. channelWise is a platform that provides channel partners access to vetted, been there, done that experts for one-on-one video consultations to help them go farther, faster in their business. And today, I'm so excited to welcome Matthew Koenig, VP Channel Sales with Nodeware. And he has over 25 years experience working with MSPs on their sales, marketing, and go-to-market strategy. He's an award-winning speaker and passionate about helping MSPs grow their business using cybersecurity services as a growth engine. And he is also one of our top experts. Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Kathryn. I'm excited to be here.
Thanks. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and, kind of how your journey ended up in, really specializing in cybersecurity.
Sure. So a long time ago, I started in IT actually by accident. Started in, if you remember, CompUSA in that retail organization. Out of school, I started there looking for a marketing job, not even wanting to do this. And my boss came over to me after the first month, showed me my commission check and said, "Are you sure you don't want to do this? This is pretty good for the first month." And hence it began. So from retail, I branched out and started their corporate business because I realized, wait a second, there are corporations that are going to buy 3 times as much in one sale versus this guy over here. So as time went on, I expanded into that. I expanded into probably one of the first MSPs in South Florida called the Waldeck Group. They sold mid-range and, aging myself, Lotus Notes development and all of that other kind of good stuff. Worked my way to enterprise sales. And then one day I got a call. I was working, in the channel, in the VAR channel, Soft Choice, SHI, those people. Yeah. Said, "Hey, company by Rapid Fire Tools is looking for a new sales manager. Would you be interested?" And I asked what they did, and they told me, and I said, "Oh God, assessments? Yes, please. I can sell assessments." So I went in, started as their first sales manager. I still want to beat Mark Winter up because I walked in and there were 3 telemarketers, not salespeople, telemarketers. Yeah, so we started there, and in 5 years, we grew like crazy. Double-digit growth, and by the time after Kaseya purchased us and I left, I had about 28 direct reports. Wow. And oversaw account management, acquisition, sales, customer success, all that kind of good stuff. And what was really cool about that is, although I had a really good sense on what went on the end user side, this really gave me a good feel on what went on the vendor side, right? And what the MSP channel was like, because as we know, it's a huge industry, but small community, right? Same people. And so what it gave me the ability to do is really understand what MSPs care about. What do they like? What do they not like? More importantly, and how do they want to do business? So from there, things just took off. And ever since, I've been the cybersecurity side of the channel with different vendors, and I love it. I have a blast.
Fantastic. And we'll talk a little bit about your new opportunity, but just to kind of backtrack a little bit, you're on the channelWise platform and your expertise area is really sales, right? And so many MSPs struggle in sales and sales operations. Talk to us a little bit about why do you think that is, and maybe some steps, maybe like even baby steps, some of the folks out there who are listening can take to really look at their sales operations and how they can tighten that process up to help them be more successful.
Sure, absolutely. Well, one of the first things is they need leads. And one of the things that I see MSPs do inherently is not have a structured lead generation piece. Now, some of them get plenty of leads in because of referrals, and that's fantastic. But I'd say 90% of them, that's not true for. So first you have to define your market. What do you want? Mm-hmm. How big a customer? How small a customer? Are there any particular industries? And then you have to define some kind of lead generation platform. Are you going to chamber meetings? In your area, they may be good. A lot of areas, they may not be good. Do you have a list? Do you know who you're going after? Where can you find this information? And it's all out there. You just have to be organized. The second thing is, how are you going to contact them? Okay. You got to contact them. You've got to in some way, shape, or form, reach out to them. And I think that's step one that MSPs are scared to death of. I don't want to reach out to a stranger. I don't like reaching out to strangers. And, the reality at the end of the day is I always tell them, well, first of all, you have to, just like people reach out to you. Second of all, they're just people, just like you. Stop being scared. All they can do is tell you to go away. And guess what? Everyone that tells you to go away is another step closer to someone wanting to do business with you. But do you have a process? And do you have a value statement? Because so many of these MSPs go, well, I provide this service, this service, this service, and I'm so quick and we're always on time. Who cares? Those are expectations. Those are not value adds. What is it that you bring to the table that other people do not? That's relative to a business of the size and industry maybe that you're dealing with. Compliance is a good one. I understand the compliance framework that you have to deal with on a regular basis. I'm an expert in it. Let's talk about that. From a sales operations standpoint, now I've got that customer. What do I do with it? When I go out for that first meeting, right? What do I talk about? What questions do I ask? How do I move them along the path from, okay, I've got a meeting, now what do I do? And some of those things are just open questions, right? Don't go out there, especially in cybersecurity, with fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Nobody cares anymore. And you know what that causes? I don't know about anybody else, but when you scare the heck out of me, it causes paralysis. It doesn't cause me to move.
Got it.
Right? It causes me to go, I don't know what to do because I want to do the right thing. And I'm not sure what that is.
Right.
Go out there and talk business. Talk about their business. Ask questions like, what would this look like if? What would happen if? Get their head in their business, thinking about issues that could happen if certain things occurred in their business. Tell stories. Don't try to sell them anything. Tell stories about other companies that have faced similar things, but don't talk about Target and don't talk about T-Mobile because they don't care.
Right.
Talk about other companies you've dealt with of this size. Talk about companies that people that going to shows have dealt with and stories you've heard. Doesn't always have to be your company.
Well, we'll pivot a little bit to the cybersecurity conversation because obviously that could be a big differentiator for a lot of these MSPs because from what I can see out there, a lot of them are still kind of sticking their head in the sand about it, or the fear comes up of how am I going to manage this for my customer? So talk a little bit about that. Why do you think, and I guess the sticking the head in the sand could be on the MSP side, but also on the end customer side, and how can they, overcome that as well?
Well, first, let me share a couple stats that I've been pulling up, which I think are really interesting and I think are important for the MSPs to know. A lot of these statistics are from 2021 because the 2022 data has not been compiled yet, but 46% of all cyber breaches in 2021 impacted businesses with fewer than 1,000 employees. So the whole argument of it's not going to affect me, it doesn't have any effect on me, nobody's coming after me, that argument is well over. 61% of all SMBs were the target of a cyber attack in 2021. And here's the other cool thing. Just 17% of these businesses have cyber liability insurance. Now, more and more, that's becoming critical and becoming something that they absolutely need to have. One of the other things is, 59% of small business owners with no cybersecurity measures in place believe their business is too small to be attacked. There is such a wide open space that we need to go after. We need to educate people in. It's mind-boggling the amount of opportunity that's out there. Because two other things, almost everybody nowadays has a framework that they have to abide by, whether it's as simple as NIST or HIPAA or PCI or CMMC. Everybody's got something. And then if nothing else, if you want cyber liability insurance, they're now not asking for, but requiring certain things be in place. So you've got this whole, for lack of a better term, one legal leg to stand on when you go in and talk to someone. But most importantly, if you don't, someone else is going to. If you're not involved with your customer, knowing what's going on, making sure they're doing the right things, I've seen it. I've seen a customer decide they want a cyber liability insurance policy. So they go to an insurance company. The MSP is not involved, doesn't know what's going on. Next thing they know, the insurance company has sent in their MSP that they have a relationship with to fix things. And all of a sudden they're locked out or being told, well, why didn't you fix this? So it's incredibly important from that standpoint, if nothing else, to make sure that you have a cybersecurity business or someone else is going to take your business.
I think that's a really important point that you make. And, through a lot of these interviews, and of course, the term ecosystem is tossed around a lot or whatever, and, currently in the channel. But I think what you were saying to not only, and we'll get to more of the business reasons and things about adding cybersecurity to your practice, but I think what you also touched on is the fact that these insurance companies, people who are buying their customers are buying these policies, they could be an important part and source of leads for an important part of this ecosystem and source of leads for MSPs.
Absolutely.
Right? So much like realtors, when they're trying to, get new business, maybe forge relationships and collaborations with accountants and different people, mortgage broker or mortgage lenders and things. In this situation with MSPs, it sounds like one of the places that you could, potentially get leads are from insurance brokers that are looking to sell cybersecurity insurance, if you have that as part of your practice.
Yeah, one of the things I said a couple of years ago to a friend of mine who actually said, I want to start an MSP, after I told him he was a sick human being and why would he want to do that to himself, we talked about, how to go about it. And one of the things I told him was, go find someone that sells cyber liability insurance. Understand their questionnaire better than anybody. I said, you become a package deal then. Here's why. They know if they send you in, everything is going to be as secure as humanly possible. So writing that policy is a good business risk for them. Vice versa, that customer knows you know their questionnaire better than anybody, and you will make sure that everything's in place so if they ever do have an event, that the insurance company is going to pay out. Because one of the other famous things that's happening now is insurance companies are going, no, I'm not paying you. You didn't do this, and this. You said you were, right, but you're not, or you're not keeping up. So even if you have a policy, if an MSP doesn't understand the requirements for each insurance company, some of them are the same, right? There's a core set of questions or desires that are the same, but others are different. You don't understand that for your customer, there's a good chance they may not get paid if they do have a claim.
Right. So that's obviously, it's really important, but, also too, in the growth of the MSP business, how important is adding cybersecurity as part of that practice? I mean, you touched on that a little bit, but, do you have specific examples of how MSPs have grown their business over the years that you've been involved with just by simply adding this as part of their practice area?
Well, absolutely. Everybody's thinking about cybersecurity. There's not one person on the planet, one business owner, even if they've got slight apathy, more and more small business owners are now going, okay, I got to do something. If you're not going in with a cybersecurity practice and leading with that, then you're doing it wrong. Because, back in the old days, I learned real quick that if I leaned with services, the hardware would come behind, right? Mm-hmm. And that's back in the day where you were selling 3-point hardware, 5-point hardware. So I didn't want to sell hardware, right? Because everybody could sell that. It became a price war. What I did is I came in and I sold services or solutions around the problem, and the hardware just automatically dragged behind, and it was an extra $1 million. Yay, right? So it was nice to have. The same concept with cybersecurity. If you go in just pitching managed services, who cares? Everyone can do managed services now. At least that's their claim. Mm-hmm. Anybody can go in front of a customer, present that they can do the normal stuff. What they don't do is they don't tell a story about how I'm going to keep your business running on an ongoing basis. And getting down to that business thing, like we talked about, customers buy from people they trust and people they like. Mm-hmm. You have no differentiation by saying, I'm going to keep your stuff running 4 nines. I'm going to monitor your network and send a tech out if something's wrong. That's nice. So will these 10 other companies. So what? And you have to answer that question. So what? And so what nowadays is I will secure you, but let me explain how I'm going to go about that. And that's one of the other things I don't think MSPs do a good job of. Yes, we offer cybersecurity. Yay. This guy down the road said he did also.
Right.
You really need to talk about, and you could be offering the same security stack, right? But what is your security process? How do you go about protecting them? And you intertwine that with their business needs and show them that you've got a security plan in place for them. And I think that makes a huge differentiator out of it.
Yeah, because I think in some ways it's not if, but when, right? I mean, you said that, most of the cyber attacks are happening to, these smaller companies, mostly because they're low hanging fruit for hackers. I read a story not too long ago about a dog walking company in, Seattle, Washington area or whatever, that was literally put out of business because someone, ransomware, and they didn't have a backup of their data and those kinds of things. But you did mention also that, that when you're out selling these cybersecurity solutions, that you shouldn't really lean in on the fear, right? On the fear, because that could lead to paralysis. What are your recommendations for MSPs to, what are your specific recommendations for them to be able to sell this? I mean, I know, in sales, we're both in sales, and been there for a long time. Like usually it's like, people buy when they have pain, right? Or they buy because they're afraid they might, people run away from pain, right? This kind of thing.
Yep.
But what you said was to me a little bit counterintuitive when you said, don't sell the fear. So talk a little bit about how you would approach these conversations that won't paralyze the prospect.
Sure. One stat I want to share that I think is incredibly important, because again, you asked why cybersecurity. So I pulled down a recent stat from Channel Futures. In the US, SMB cybersecurity spend is predicted to go from $69 billion in 2022 to $77 billion in 2023. If you make the assumption, and this is the number you hear thrown around by a lot of the pundits, so to speak, in this industry, if you assume there's 30,000 MSPs and all of them were offering cybersecurity, we know that's not true. We wouldn't be having that conversation. But let's say for argument's sake, they are. Do you know your share of that is $2.5 million? $2.5 million in revenue based on the total spend of SMBs if everybody was selling cybersecurity services. Mm-hmm. It's a huge market for you. Now, to hit on your question, first thing you do is you talk business. What business are they in? Do you understand their business? Can you talk to them? So for instance, rather than saying, oh my God, if this happens, you're going to go down, talk to them about, out of curiosity, what would it look like if you got hacked and your business had to be closed for 3 days? Talk to me a little bit about what that would look like for you. And shut up. Mm-hmm. Let them get in their head and talk to you. Okay. Hey, if you got hacked, and you were down, how would that affect your employees and your customers? Shut up. Let them get in their head and talk. Ask business questions so they think about themselves and their business in terms of things that could happen. Not Target or T-Mobile or this might happen or this might. Okay, you're talking in terms of coulda, might. Talk about what would it look like if this did happen? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times they're not going, well, it'll never happen, because you ask the question, play with me. What would it look like if it did? Right. Now, they're going in their head going, I don't know. Or, I guess I might have to lay people off, or I might have, right? The idea is to get them to think about that. The next thing to do, in my opinion, I don't care who you use, always use an assessment to sell. Always. Here's why, and here's what's critical about it. Once again, talk in facts. Don't talk in possibilities or theories. Talk in facts of, hey, Mr. Customer, we talked the other day about, what you what it would look like if this happened. Guess what? Let me show you what's going on in your infrastructure to show you that this readily could happen, right? And discuss facts. But don't present technical details. Again, present and educate on findings, right? What does this actually mean from a business standpoint? Okay. I found that these 40 Microsoft servers are not patched with the latest security device. Who cares? As a business owner, yippee. So tell me, why is that important to me as a business owner? And don't just say, you could be hacked, because we're going back to the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. What about something around the line of, what happens is this opens your front door to the possibility of someone getting in and planting something inside your network that you don't know about, which then over time can collect data that you wouldn't want to share with other people. Mm-hmm. Right? That's a business kind of conversation, as opposed to, oh my God, this is what's going to happen. The sky's falling. Oh my God, or tell a story. Hey, I worked with a company a while ago, and their MSP ended up not patching their servers on a timely basis. What ended up happening was somebody got in, placed this inside, gathered data over a 6-month period, and ended up holding all of their credit card data and customer records for ransom. Mm. Again, it's a story. Right. But using that assessment is a powerful tool because, again, you can show them what's actually going on with them and not be theoretical about it. You then also have the opportunity to educate them and make sure that they understand what's happening. Now, one of the other things I'll say when they're, selling is the assessment is a great tool, because a lot of times you go out, you might do an assessment, especially if you do it at no charge because you want to earn their business, and you don't hear back from them. Now what? The assessment is a fantastic tool to be able to say, hey, Mr. Customer, I got your assessment back, and there are a couple of things that concern me. Would you do me a favor and give me a call back so I could at least go over these things with you? Thanks. Click. I don't know about you, but if someone that I know that I trusted to do the assessment said there were some things that concerned me, I'd be calling them back.
Right. I mean, at least it's a way to open the door or continue the conversation, because so many MSPs and even vendors and suppliers, they put a lot of money, effort, and time into getting net new customers. When those of us in sales, we've been beating this drum for so many years of saying, listen, that's fine and wonderful. Who doesn't want new customers? But if you can expand the services that your current customers offer, it's just as valuable, if not more valuable, and it costs less money to do so, right? Absolutely. So, going and using those assessment tools is a great way of keeping yourself top of mind. I mean, I tell this story a lot too. When I first went into direct sales way back in the day, and I was selling mortgages, essentially door to door, right? We would go into the kitchen and we'd sit there, and I was writing a fairly large, mortgage for a customer, and she went to get some water for me and opened up the door of her fridge, and it said, it was a magnet on the fridge. Oh, next time you're looking for your mortgage, call me, right? And it was obviously a different person. And clearly the magnet didn't do anything for that, sure. Right? Because they weren't keeping their customer top of mind. Yep. So what you're saying is, she wasn't keeping her mortgage broker, top of mind. So what you're saying is, these are not only is an important piece to add to your, into your suite of products, but also it's a way to consistently keep your clients as, yourself top of mind with your clients by saying, hey, there's this happening and this happening. And anytime there's a new, something out there, you can rerun these assessments, right? And say, absolutely. Oh, I see additional vulnerabilities or those kinds of things.
Well, and also, something as simple as a newsletter or some email marketing, right? Going back to that, keeping them informed, as to what's going on in the world that might affect them. Again, it's real important that you focus this on things that your customer base would care about, not things from the Wall Street Journal that they could never care less about. But maybe even a story about, something that happened to a new customer, redacting that information, letting them know. And by the way, here's what I do to make sure that doesn't happen to you, and constantly staying in front of them with the things that you're doing to keep them safe. Because as you just touched on, that's what's going to keep someone else from coming in there and taking that business. Because the more they don't understand what you're doing, the more they're likely to listen to someone else that gives them a better explanation and talks to them in terms of their business, and how it might affect them.
Fantastic. Thank you. And we're coming to the end of our time, but I did want to touch a little bit on your new role at Nodeware. So talk a little bit about that and, what Nodeware does and how important it is as part of this tech stack for MSPs.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm the vice president of channel sales. I came over because honestly, they have an amazing product. And for those of you out there that know me know that I just won't go to a company anymore where I don't believe in the product and I don't feel I have to sell it versus evangelize it, which to me are two different things. And what Nodeware does is it offers continuous vulnerability scanning. It's platform agnostic, so it doesn't care, picks up anything with an IP address, whether it be Linux, Apple, Google Chrome, an IoT device, a thermostat on the wall, provides alerts and a dashboard to use. It's multi-tenant. So it's nice, but it also meets, again, those ongoing standards that insurance companies and compliance companies are starting to require, right? Ongoing continuous vulnerability scanning. Mm-hmm. It also helps from a standpoint of scheduling time. You don't have to schedule a time for a vulnerability, scan with your text or whatever. It brings back information in a usable format. You don't have to, like some of the competitors out there, take a huge report and now pull out of it what you think is important and put it into other stuff. Furthermore, we have our new deep scan technology. And what that really does is, before you get a vulnerability, that was great. Now you go look it up and go, okay, this is what it really means, where it affects. Now go look up where a solution might be. Well, with our deep scan technology, you're literally able to click on the vulnerability. It has all the databases right there, links to them, that explain the vulnerability in detail, right? The CVE number and all of that stuff. But in most cases, it also has a link right to the solution. No researching. Here's the Microsoft website for the patch. Here's the Ubiquity website with the patch, whatever the case may be. So remediation is now cut literally by 50%. So it's really cool. And again, it's made for MSPs. It's designed to work with MSPs. And it's priced for MSPs. We don't sell direct, period, end of story.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again. And as we wrap up let's just end with kind of one thing that you want the audience to walk away from this session with in terms of selling or positioning cybersecurity with their customers.
Sure. One, have a cybersecurity practice. If you don't, you're getting left behind. Two, don't sell on fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Sell on business and business outcomes. Three, make sure that you're talking to your customer on a regular basis on what you're doing to protect them. Four, always use an assessment. Always, always, always to be able to have an intelligent conversation about what is versus what could be. And finally, don't be scared of your customers. Make sure that you're pricing your offering correctly and you're not doing it in a way that hurts you because you think you need to give things away in order to take care of your customers. Here's the new reality, and it's the final thing I'll leave you with compliance standards and insurance standards and everything else. If you have a customer that you're not making sure is secure and doing the right things, guess where that risk transfers to? It transfers right over to you. Do you really want to carry the risk for that customer? Are they that good of a customer that you're willing to risk your business for them?
Fantastic. Well, thank you again for joining us today, everyone. That's great advice. So hopefully you'll take that. And if you want some personalized one-on-one advice for your business or for your sales team, you can go ahead and schedule a call with Matthew over on channelWise.com. We'll put the link into the post. And again, thank you, Matthew. Thank you to everyone who's watching today, and we'll see you next time on Ask the Expert.
Take care.